welcome back to our Eco Island Park. In this episode, we're going to dive into the exciting world of building an eco-friendly tropical house. We've got big plans, including adding the incredible Komodo dragons, and thanks to your votes on the community wall, we will at least also add the adorable Asian small-clawed otters and the beautiful Malaysian tapirs. And if we have some extra space, we will definitely be adding some more animals in there. I seriously cannot wait to start building, so definitely stay tuned for that. Hey everyone, my name is DeLadysigner, and today we are back for another episode of our Eco Island Park, where in the previous episode we added some finishing touches on this lovely area between the Tasmanian devil habitat and the butterfly garden, complete with a charming seaside restaurant and lush tropical foliage around it. Super happy how this area has turned out. But before we jump into our tropical house adventure, I do want to check upon our red pandas because Forrest was about to grow up, and then I realized okay, I'm going to put him in the training center because I really want to see if Lumi and Milo are still able to get some offspring, maybe, because that means that we can release Forrest into the wild and keep the next offspring, but else we then just keep Forrest if that doesn't work. I just really want to try that out because I think it's going to be so amazing to have some more offspring of Milo and Lumi in here. Oh my gosh, you see, they are about to mate. Wait, what? Do they mate like this? I think... Wait, what? Okay, that doesn't look super well to me. But did it work? Or did it not? It did work! So in August, year 35, we are getting some more offspring with Lumi and Milo. That is so freaking amazing. That means I'm just going to put back our lovely little Forrest so we can release him into the wild once he grows up, which is just fantastic. Oh, yes, that's right. In quarantine here, we have Raja and Ratu, the king and queen of our Eco Island Park. This couple was rescued from a big forest fire on Rinca, which is one of the islands of Indonesia, which was really scary for them, but luckily they were able to survive and being brought to a rescue center before they came here to our Eco Island. So the Komodo dragon is classified as endangered because of habitat loss, people building and moving to places where they normally live, and humans are hunting too many deer, which the dragons like to eat. And they are also threatened by volcanoes on the Indonesian islands that could rapidly kill many dragons, like ruin their homes and their nests. So the government in Indonesia made the Isle of Komodo a national park to protect these animals. And since there are only around 1,400 left in the wild, we can hopefully help their population go up with our breeding efforts on our Eco Island Park with Raja and Ratu. So yeah, we're definitely going to make sure to build a really nice habitat for these guys. Oh gosh, things are going so fast right now. Okay, we have a forest that just came back in its habitat, which is about to grow up. Pause it because I need a picture so we can put your picture in the Wildlife Release Plaza Center, which we're going to build later on in the series. So I was able to make some pictures of Forrest. Now, these animals don't always grow up when you are looking at them, so I think we're just going to wait until he is grown up, and then we're going to say goodbye to little Forrest, but he's going to be released into the wild, guys. It's the second animal, and it's another red panda, which is just fantastic. He actually is looking a little bit sad here. Are you going to sleep? Just sleep one more time, and then grow up? Aw, you're so cute. And while we were looking at the red pandas, we actually totally missed out on this beautiful Checkers being born. This is the little baby boy of Spirit and Joy, and isn't he beautiful? I'm a little bit sad that it is a boy because I do know that once he grows up, we are not able to keep him, but we are able to release him in the wild, which is obviously fantastic looking at what we're doing here at the Eco Island Park. But I don't know, I just really would love to have like a big herd here with tons of Przewalski's horses if we can. That would be just so fantastic. Although now that I think of it, I think you can only have like 7 adults or something or something like that. But anyways, I'm just so excited about Checkers now also being in our Przewalski. So wait, what are you going to do? Are you... Oh, I thought for a second you died. Oh my goodness, wait a second. These foals are actually able to escape. Did you guys see that? I did not know that could happen. I mean, little Sunny here is like, she's just, wait, what? Oh. Okay, so if we just put some elephant grass here, is that going to work? Because there is grass here, but it doesn't look like it's helping so much. So we're just going to put some extra here on the edges and hope that that will fix the escaping issues with the Przewalski's horse. I'm so surprised that nothing happened with Sunny. Maybe I need to raise it a little bit. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we fixed that. Now I did see, oh gosh, there's more. There's more here as well. I did see someone in the comments being like, yeah, elephant grass is great, but it doesn't work for all animals. And I was like, oh, you were right. Because I think I remember with the ostrich in my desert franchise, they were also just able to walk over the elephant grass. So... Oh gosh, no. Is that again? You are so naughty, Checkers. Like, why did that not happen with Sunny? I'm just so surprised. You are so... Oh my gosh, okay. Checkers. You are such a naughty boy. Let me just fix this real quick. Okay, this should all be fixed now. I am still amazed by how fast this all went. Like, also how fast the vet actually was capturing Checkers. It was just incredible. But okay, it's fixed now. We don't have to... What are you doing here now? I don't trust you. This is Checkers, right? Oh no, this is Sunny. Okay, Sunny, I trust you. You have been such a good girl all the time. But Checkers, we need to keep an eye on him because I think he's going to cause a lot more trouble in here. Here we go, guys. He became an outsider. He did grow up and it's time to say goodbye. But it was just so freaking amazing to see another rat panda being born in our Eagle Island Park. So... You will be missed, but... Oh, there he goes! He actually grow up just in front of our eyes. That's amazing. Alright, there we go. Release animal into the wild. Lifespan remaining is almost 5 stars. How is that almost 5 stars? He just grew up. Fertility remaining 5 stars. Fertility gene is 4 stars. And conservation status is 4 stars. We are getting 154 conservation credits for him. And he had his silver status, by the way. It's time to release him. Enjoy your life into the wild forest. You will definitely be missed. There we go. Forrest has been traded out of the zoo. And now let's add his picture somewhere over here. Where's Kiko? Here she is. Okay, so we just copy paste this one for now. Put this one right over here next to it. And then we add a little picture of Forrest on this one. Aw, look at that. Isn't that adorable? Oh my goodness. You see how fast things are going? Darwina is expecting offspring as well. So in year 36 in December, we are going to see more tortoise offspring, guys. So definitely make sure to give me lots of baby suggestions for the tortoise again, because hopefully we will be able to see tons of baby tortoises when she gives offspring. That would be just so amazing. Now, before we start building the tropical house, I just want to check onto our staff because I did train them again, so their workload will hopefully be less and they are able to handle more. I even did train the vets right over here. You can tell that only Victoria right now has a high workload, but she's sharing the workload with Bruno. So I do want to wait a little bit to see how this will go. The keepers are doing really well right now. They all have an efficient workload, so I'm super happy with that. We could potentially also train Taisha and Wolf again. Now, the educators is still a thing. Now, we can still train Kevin and Nick. Now, Sarah, we need to wait until tomorrow, actually. So if we just keep the game running for a little bit. And there we go. We can also now train Sarah. So all the educators will then be trained to the max. So after that, I'm super curious to see if Nick still has a high workload or that he is then just like, yeah, sure, fine. I'm just able to do everything in here. Mechanics are fine, security guards are fine, caretakers are fine, and vendors is very mixed here. We have a low workload, efficient workload, and high workload. So Emma is not really able to deal with it all, while she is like fully trained. So where does she work exactly? Waiting for customers to serve. She is working at the entrance right now, where it's super busy. So I do feel like maybe we should just add 2 more shops here. So 1 Mr. Fried and 1 Pip Shop Juice. Just going to plot them down for now. We will definitely get back to this area and make it all look nice and pretty. But for now, it's about the functionality and making sure that the staff is not getting overworked. So for these shops, we will hire 2 vendors. And I actually did hire 3. So here we have Allison, Tristan, and here we have Alexander. Welcome to your staff team. And if you want any staff member to be named after you, please do make sure to leave your first name in the comments down below. And who knows, I might be able to also name a staff member after you. So then it was time to start working on our eco-friendly, ultra-modern tropical house. So I hope you guys are all ready for a crazy big building we're going to work on during this series. So for this building, I did create a drawing first on some paper, so I knew a little bit what I was going for, but still it's always so different when you start to create it in Planet Zoo. So yeah, we start with drawing some lines on the terrain with the painting tool to give some shape to the building. And the first things I right away wanted to check was the sizes of the habitats. I mean, how often I start to build something and it turns out to be like way too big or way too small. So yeah, I did at least want to try and avoid this, but I will get back to this later on in the speed build as well. So when I pretty much knew where I wanted all the habitats to be, so at this point we are now talking here about a habitat for the Komodo dragons and a combined habitat for the Asian small-clawed otter and the Malaysian tapir. And I'm kind of also thinking to add the gharial habitat in here if we can, but these plans will most likely still change later on depending on how things will go when filling up all the habitats and such. So yeah, now it was time to start laying out the path already, because when you make sure you have all your path in place, you will also get a better idea how the habitats will get shape and how much space you will have left. And honestly, the more you add, the smaller it already feels. But we gotta make it all work somehow. So we will have an upper layer that will be connected to the path on the right top coming from the volcano, and there will be 1 entrance to the building. And on the left bottom, we will have like this big main entrance to the tropical house. And maybe if I feel like we have some space for it, we will also be creating another entrance on the right bottom leading to the corner of the island, which can also be connected to the Przewalski's horse area. So there will be 2 layers of path here, and they will be connected with a nice sloped curvy path, which is again also reducing the area a lot, unfortunately. But as I said, we gotta make it work. So when the path were in place, it was time to work on the glass roof. By creating the glassy domes roof already and the roof itself, we are able to really give shape to the building already. So I'm using glass panels for the roof with the mud pillar technique, which I explained a lot during earlier episodes if you haven't seen those yet. And for this roof, I wanted to make sure to give it an extra beam structure. So we are using some white metal beams for that, but in a different group, so we are able to both move the glass roof and the beam structure separately. And for the beams, I did decide to leave some more in underneath the roof, so we have actually beams giving the idea that they are holding the heavy roof, and I do really like the look of that. So when I finished the first glass roof, I wanted to create the sides of the building. So with the temporary round shape I created with the mud pillar, I am drawing out the path again and try to connect them all nicely with each other. Now I had my doubts for a long while if I wanted all the path to be floating or not, especially on the ground floor, but in the end I did choose to keep them all floating, so I have more control over the terrain underneath it, and in the end I'm also easier able to use space underneath the path if my habitats turn out to be way too small, which actually comes in super handy later on if you ask me. So when the path were done, I created another round roof with glass dome in the middle for one of the wings of the buildings, if you can call it that way. And from these roof pieces, I created created a temporary blueprint because with more groups, you are not able to duplicate it from the spot. So making a blueprint from the roof is the easiest way to copy paste them, and by putting the mud pillars I placed earlier like in the centers of the wings, I was easily able to put the roofs exactly in the middle of the wings as well where I wanted them to be. So yeah, that was pretty easily done. And then next to where the main entrance is going to be, I really put my building skills to the test because I had this crazy idea. I wanted this round shape like a sloped roof coming down from a higher layer, and then later on we will have some nice grass on top of it, which we will also be adding of course on the flat roof later on to make everything look more eco-friendly. But oh my goodness, having a roof like this with a slope is just pretty much impossible to make perfect in Planet Zoo, unless you maybe sit down for a week and put down every plaster wall piece by piece until it works. But this building was already taking way too much time in general, so I simply didn't have a week to design this. So after a lot of tries to make it look right, of which most of the footage I did cut out, I in the end just decided to make the connection to the upper layer with a straight wall to make life a lot easier. Now you can definitely tell the shape of the building is coming along quite nicely at this point already, but we surely need to work on detailing a lot of the building still to make it all look perfect in the end. Now I did notice when recording this voiceover that for some reason I didn't record part where I created a glass window for the upper layer, only filling up gaps in between as I didn't want glass roofs to go entirely around the whole building. Like this will be the only layer with this many glass windows I think, because I obviously want to achieve a more cozy and tropical vibe in the rest of the tropical house. Now talking about cozy vibe, I did have some struggles with the fences for this upper layer. Like I wanted things to be more modern but yet also make it look more cozy and tropical, but for the upper layer it just didn't feel right to go for like chain link fences, wooden beams, or rope for example, even though I did try that. But in the end I went for a more modern fence look anyways, because that just looks so much better for this upper layer. But we will definitely go for a different look on the lower layer, so don't worry about that guys. So then I decided to work on the entrance, which guests can reach from the volcano side. Now this entrance should not be super big or something, but still must feel as a nice entrance for the guests to enter the building. Now I am still not entirely sure if I want to keep the tropical house letters that I added on the roof for this building, but for now I'll just leave them in and maybe I will change or move them later in the end. So the doors of the tropical house will get like these plastic curtains, of which I always forget the name, and they will have like some glass on top of it, but later on I will close it with plaster pieces on the sides because that just looks a lot better than the glass windows I had first. And I had my doubts to create an extra space in front of it, like this airlock or something, but it just didn't look well, so I decided to just go for one entrance with the plastic curtains to keep a bit more humidity inside of the building. But like in the end of the day, I don't think it matters too much for the heat anyways, because we're on a tropical island, so both the inside and the outside of the buildings are hot anyways. So I think the purpose of these curtains are fine at this point, as long as you would not have like any flying birds or anything that could be able to escape. Then you probably have a problem with only one curtain. Not entirely sure about that. Yeah, I think so. Now filling up the space in front of the building was a bit more challenging, as everything you want to stick through the ground or the floor now could end up on the path of the tropical house on the inside. So it was a little bit more challenging to find the right rocks and tropical plants to fill it all up. But in the end, I'm pretty happy with how tropical and lush this whole entrance has turned out. Now I did add a little bit of mulch here on the roof of this area, but I do hope that we can later on blend this all nicely with the eco-friendly green roof that we are going to create on top of the building. But that is something we won't be working on in this episode, I'm afraid. So now, getting back to talking about the size of the habitat and the look of it. Like during the time I was working on the shape of the building itself and the entrance, I first still had the idea to have the Komodo dragons in like the biggest area of the building, so within the two layers that area. But the more I thought about this and how this habitat was going to look with the 2 layers, the more I dislike this idea. Like, I was thinking the 2 layers would actually work a lot better when you have monkeys or primates in the middle that are able to climb up into trees or in climbing frames so the guests can see them a lot better from this upper layer, instead of having these tiny Komodo dragons somewhere down in the center. So this was the part when I really started to change my mind. And also the fact that the more I was thinking about how normally a Komodo dragon habitat would look in a zoo, the more it felt like an open habitat in general didn't feel like the right idea. So there we go. We are moving the Komodo dragons to what I'm going to call the left wing of the building. And here, as I mentioned earlier, comes in the fact that we have a raised path very handy, because clearly this area is not going to be big enough for the Komodo dragons. So we will be creating 2 layers here, so we don't run into any space issues and we still are able to create a nice looking habitat for these dragons. Now I'm gonna admit, for the interior of this Komodo dragon habitat, I took a lot of inspiration of one of the best zoo tours we have done on the channel, the tropical rainforest domes made by Soren. This zoo is heavily inspired of Renders Regnov in Denmark, if I say that correctly and if I remember correctly, and it's seriously a must watch if you did not see that zoo tour yet. It's seriously one of the best things I have ever seen in Planet Zoo, and it's so freaking inspiring. So yeah, I just couldn't resist using this zoo and this Komodo dragon habitat as inspiration for this build, and we will most likely be using a lot more inspiration of that zoo as well in this tropical house as far as we can. So yeah, a double layer. The lower layer we won't be decorating today as it's something the guests won't see anyways, so we work on that later. So the upper layer will be covered with mulch to make it all look as natural as possible, and then around the path for the guest we will make a window frame from a lot of the rocks from the tropical patch, which we will be using a lot in this habitat. Now I am already filling up the ceiling here for the guest path, but not the outside wall yet, because at this point I'm just not entirely sure yet how I want to decorate these walls and how many windows I want to have looking to the outside, or maybe keeping it entirely closed. But then I need to be sure how I want the outside of the building to look there, and I'm just not entirely sure yet how I want it to look. Also, it could potentially be that we decide to expand the building here with some more habitat, so keeping it open for now is, in my opinion, the best thing to do. So in the middle of the habitat is a platform made from plastic pieces that will be the path for the Komodo dragons and the keepers to go from one layer to the other. Now clearly I don't want this entrance to be super visible for the guests, so I will make sure to close off some windows so it will look a lot better and a bit more realistic, as I think having all the glass windows open on all the sides is just a little bit too much anyways. So the sides of the pathways will obviously be closed off with a lot more temple pieces from the tropical pack here, and by adding some pillars in between, the walls will become a lot more interesting and gives a better temple vibe to the area, if you ask me. Now in case you are wondering, also thanks to Soren his build, I'm using the I think they are snake bodies pieces to create the pillars. Like, how did I not think of that myself? Like, the textures on them just look so fantastic, so I absolutely love the pillars here. And also thanks to Soren, we are using the leaf patches all the way in the flooring of the mulch, because that definitely gives a totally different vibe to it, which I absolutely love. And it also covers a bit of the edges of the mulch floor here, so they come in super handy in this case. And then around the whole habitat we will be adding a lot of lights, more for the idea of these heat lamps, but they also work super well for some extra lighting in the building, because even though the roof is a big glass dome, there isn't that much sunlight coming into this building, unfortunately. And then the last thing we do is filling up the building in the middle with some green plants on top of it and a lot of tropical foliage to definitely give a more tropical vibe to the habitat in general. And around the building we will also be adding a lot of roots and some green plants on the walls as well to make it all look a lot better and more tropical. And around the whole habitat we also be adding a lot of the temple pieces, aquatic rocks, and some African branches to give it a little bit more of a realistic and rough feeling and to make the habitat look more interesting in general. Like, Komodo dragon habitats are not super heavily heavily detailed with a lot of foliage and stuff, at least not that I can remember from the Komodo dragon habitats I've seen in real life. So I wanted to avoid filling it up too much, and I think the leaves on the floor definitely already help to not make it look super boring. And then with like some acrylic rocks here and there and some African branches, it all comes together super nicely in the end. Now this is still a very big work in progress building, but yet it also already looks super cool. So here we have the entrance from the volcano. So this is also going to attract more visitors to this area, which I do really love already. So this is a little tropical entrance. This is not the main entrance, so I wanted it to not be super big and obvious. So it's going to blend in super... This is to show myself where the paths are underneath it. Yes, we are low on cash. I had to take a 50k loan to continue this building, and we definitely need to earn some money before we are able to continue this building. But some really nice foliage work. Once we are going to fill in the whole volcano right over here, it's going to look so much better even. So this is just a little tiny piece of the area, but it looks already super nice. So the guests come in here via these curtains, and this is definitely going to be decorated. I'm not entirely sure yet if I'm going to use billboards here with pictures, or maybe just the tropical mural walls. I don't know exactly how they're called, but we are definitely not going to keep this plain because I think that's going to be a little bit too boring. Pretty nice modern fence here around the path, but this is all going to be connected later on. I think this is going to be filled up with a lot of rocks and stuff. So this is going to be a lot more tropical once they enter, and we're going to have some planters here as well to make it all look a lot better and more tropical. Not entirely, but just around here. So we're going to close off the path very nicely, but the guests can still also look already into the habitat. And as I said, I think some kind of primate or monkey will be just so perfect for this area. So if you have any endangered or critically endangered monkey or primate suggestions, definitely do let me know in the comments down below. But I think that's going to look a lot better than, like, if you have Komodo dragons here, you're like walking on this edge, you're like, hey, wait, what? What's that? Is that a Komodo dragon? Oh, okay. Well, I guess the view from here is fine for the Komodo dragons. You see, I already see those problems popping up. Okay, so we go right over here. So we move the Komodo dragons to this area, which is definitely still a work in progress, but it's going to look fantastic, I think, once it's done. Did add some temporarily donation boxes and education signs here because obviously we do want to earn some money. I'm not sure if there is some money being earned here. Maybe we what? Okay, everything is at 0. I hope that's not correct. Maybe we should also just add an ATM here. Maybe these guests just don't have that much money with them. I don't know. So here we have the Komodo dragon habitat. So the guests look inside. This looks a lot more realistic if you also look at habitats in real life. And oh my goodness, you freaking kidding me? This is just fantastic. So yeah, I had to earn some money, so I did already add Raja and Ratu already in. Who is this? This is Ratu. And oh my goodness, I just absolutely love the fact that you are just laying here on this hay bedding with this heat lamp. This is so freaking good. Also, I never thought of using the king ferns from the Oceania Pack because I thought they're just way too big, but they work so well for this area. Oh man, I just love this so much. This is looking so nice. So we can go all around it. As I said, like, this is all closed because I don't want the guests to really be here and just look down. So by closing these walls or windows off, you don't have a view inside of that pathway leading all the way down. We have some really nice tropical foliage work on top of there again. And yeah, the guests can just really have a nice view here of the Komodo dragons if they are on the upper layer. Because if they're downstairs, yeah, then the guests cannot see them. But other than, okay, I'm going to give you a glimpse here, but we're going to make this all look nice. But other than the water pipe, there is nothing here, no reason at all for them to be downstairs. It's only for space purposes. And if we look here, we have quite enough space also for them to give some offspring. Okay, the soil we definitely need to work on, but the rest is all good. 93% welfare, I take it. So in case you're wondering, this will all be closed, but as you can tell, like either duplicating this whole layer all the way down is going to cost us tons of money. So I had to wait with that. I was thinking to just close it off very nicely like it is right over here, but it also has some kind of charm to keep it open. The only problem is I still need to close it somehow because you can't just look through here, which is definitely not what we want. So I still am thinking of how to do that, but this is already the awesome shape of the building. And just to give you a view here, I mean, look how nicely it blends onto the whole island. I don't know, it just works super well, and it's far from done still. We're obviously going to have a lot of green on top of the roofs and stuff, and it's nice to have some lighting going in here from the upper layer, but this will all mostly be closed. So this will be the main entrance of the building. And the earlier idea that I had, because I was talking about the gharials, was to have a gharial habitat right over here, then have like pretty much an underpass here under the path that guests won't see, and then have like a water area here, maybe with some waterfalls or fountains, and then have a water area here for the gharials, so they were able to maybe swim here or walk here towards this area, and then the guests are able to see them from this viewing point, and this will all be green as well, obviously. Now, I'm definitely still open for an idea like that, but since we now have the Komodo dragons on this side, the initial idea that I had is definitely not going to work. And if we're going to have maybe even, because first when I was building, I thought, okay, have the Malaysian tape here and the Asian otter at this side, we could potentially decide to have the orangutans with them and have some climbing frames in here. So we have all those habitats. So we have all those animals in this particular area. That could also be an idea, but I'm also super open for other animals, maybe the siamangs and gibbons, for example, with some cool climbing frames. Or maybe you guys have any other suggestions, as long as we do keep in mind the endangered and critically endangered animals. Vulnerable is also okay if it's like a combined habitat with animals that are vulnerable. I am totally fine with that as well. But they do have to match, of course, so they do need to have an enrichment bonus with each other. So yeah, not entirely sure yet. Maybe we can have a gharial habitat right over here and then have like an extra entrance here, because I think that might actually be a good idea. Or maybe on this side, I mean, we could also have an entrance right over here, but it's nice to have this corner here of the island connected nicely to the Przewalski's horse habitat. So I think I just love the idea here to have one entrance here from the volcano going down here with the path, and then having a main entrance right over here. I mean, this is all going to be filled up still. Gosh, this island is a lot bigger than I first thought, actually. But I really do love it. So yeah, a main entrance right over here with a cool something with water at least, and probably some kind of outdoor habitat with water for an animal, and then have an extra entrance right over here. I think that would also work super well with the guest flow. So I think that's just a really nice idea. And I'm obviously super curious to hear what you guys all think of this building. Do let me know in the comments down below. I'm super excited about it so far. So the Komodo dragons, Raja and Ratu, definitely have a super nice spot here in our tropical house, which is still a work in progress, but I think it's going to look super awesome once this is all completely finished. So this right over here is James, and he is going to take care of all the Komodo dragons. Welcome to our staff team. And as you can see, there are like keeper gates right over here, and there's a path going through the volcano all the way to here, because because at that point I did not have any money to add more keeper buildings. So no keeper hut, no staff building. So I moved the staff building from this particular area right over here, but it's a very long walk. So I am actually going to try and see if I am able to put like a keeper hut and a staff building maybe already inside of this area, because that will be just the best spot ever to add it and to keep it as close as possible to the habitat. So we have one entrance right over here and one entrance right over here. But yeah, honestly, the habitat that we're going to build all the way on the other side, that one is just not going to be able to be connected to this area. So this one will have their own staff buildings in the end. So we're going to wrap it up right over here. Please do let me know in the comments down below what you guys all think of this new Komodo dragon habitat and the start of our ultra eco-friendly modern tropical house that we started today. Also, do make sure to give me some baby tortoise names and Komodo dragon names in the comments down below for all the future offspring that we're hopefully going to see very soon and hopefully in the next episode. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And yeah, I just really do hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys!